Bounce the ball back in the centre of the ground. Darlitz opposed to Hookham. He's a good ball bouncer, this chap, because the ball goes terribly high in the air. It's tapped along the ground there by Pedler for Ramblers. That was Jared Pedler, comes loose. Oh, it's Ramblers everywhere if it can be marked. It has been marked by DeWitt. Johnny DeWitt has marked the ball. He's a long way out from goal, though. He'd be some 75 metres. He puts the drop punt in towards full forward. Oh, getting up, a tremendous mark taken there by Kevin Pedler. That was a great mark. He had the drop on his opponent in front of him, but he got the right up with one leg and then plucked the ball with one hand and then turned around and held it with two. Umpire paid the mark and he can register his first goal. And the only fitting that he could cap it off after that great mark. The drop punt looks pretty good off the boot and it's through for a goal. A goal to Ramblers, and they're firing on all cylinders at the moment. They move along to 3-2. They lead the Reds 1 point. Good mark that, Craig.
Good mark, and also good.
As the umpire's about to bounce the ball down again, down it goes, and coming in from the side that time was Hookham, but finally it's gathered in for the Reds and driven towards centre half forward. Opportunity here for a player in Haynes, Ian Haynes it was. He looks for a Guernsey out wide there in Gaunt. And Gaunt now the opportunity onto the left boot. You can see a Guernsey up in front of the goals. It's gathered in here by Fulls. Fulls had the ball and the umpire has, I think, paid a free kick. Yes, he's paid a free kick to the Reds, and that's where you like to get them, right in front of goals. Try and pick up the player for you. Looks like George Barnes. Barnes now lining up with a drop punt, a much needed goal at this stage, but I think he may have missed it. He has. 1 point. 1 point only, and that was a valuable miss. It won't take us long, only about 4.5 hours. As the kick in now from Pedler it was, and he put the ball out towards half back. There's a player grabbed high. The umpire says play on. Finally comes loose. Trying to pick it up for the Ramblers was Minhard. Finally it comes out to Gaunt. Gaunt with a drop punt in towards the full forward area, but I think it may have beaten the players over the line and through for 1 point. So Reds wasting opportunity. 15 minutes. 15 minutes as a rough guess now. Pedler to bring the ball back in to play. A screw punt that goes out towards that outer side half-back flank. Players wait for the ball to hit the ground. Pouncing on it very quickly for the Rambler side was Gerald Pedler. Pedler gets the kick up towards centre wing, and there's a good mark taken there by Barnes, David Barnes. He gets a handball out here over towards Trevor Box. Box now the opportunity. Puts the ball in towards the right full forward pocket. An opportunity for Ramblers now as it's picked up and kicked back into the half-back line. Nobody at home for the Ramblers. Oh, the mark goes straight through the arms of that player for Reds. The ball's on the ground. The umpire says play on as players dive in hard over the ball. We wait for the umpire. No, he's still calling play on. Finally it comes out loose, picked up by a Reds fall it was, and the kick has gone through for a goal. David Hall has kicked the goal for Reds, the first major to them. And after...
And then get a goal for Reds. So it's a little bit more even now. 3-2 to 1-3. Ramblers' way.
Right, ball back at centre. Darlitz opposed to... who was that player? Hookham again, that's right. The ball's on the centre of the ground. Players flying over the ball, and the umpires decided to ball it up. 3-2 to 1-3 as the ball goes down. Darlitz and Hookham. The ball comes loose. Finally it's gathered in here for the Reds. The handball comes out. There's the kick going straight up in the air. It looked like Blacker, was it, I think? Blacker for the Reds. The ball comes loose. Finally it's picked up here by the Reds. The ball comes out. A beautiful tackle there was administered by Des Pedler for the Ramblers. Finally it comes out to Ray Fitzgerald. He gets it over there, and the handball goes over here and further there to Peter Fitzgerald, the captain coach. He went for a short pass. He's gone past all players. Opportunity if he can be picked up by the Ramblers. It has been picked up by Rod Atkinson, and his left footer has gone through for another goal to the Ramblers, and they move along to 4-2, and they lead off. There's a couple of the big chaps standing in the centre there. We'll wait till the ball now. I was right the first time. It's Blacker. Blacker got the tap to Cough, so we more or less anticipated what was going to happen there. It's picked up nicely there for Laurie. Laurie's kick was intercepted. It comes towards centre half back as it's picked up there and delivered to centre wing, and it's picked up here by Darryl Fitzgerald. He kicks the ball towards the half forward line. Racing across there was 21, which was DeWitt. He couldn't gather in the ball, and coming through very, very strongly here for the Ramblers side is DeLitz. He threw the ball away, and the umpire is paying a free kick, and it will go the way of Andy Edwards for the red side. Actually it's John Blacker. There's the kick in towards the centre of the ground. Players set themselves at the back. I'd almost pay that mark, but the umpire says play on. Finally it comes loose to Barnes. Barnes in towards 10.5 forward. Players contest the ball. It comes loose. Coming in very, very strongly there for the Reds was the player I can't pick up. He's got tons of courage. Anyway, he dived in over the ball. It was David Hall that finally thumped away towards 10.5 back. Oh, coming through like a German tank was Hall. He went to kick it, but kicked it into his own man just about. 28's got the opportunity now, but he can't do it. Hall still in there battling by G's a Tiger. The ball comes loose out here towards Ramblers, and the left footer of the player kicked the ball towards the half-back line. Players tap it further ahead, but here's a chance now for the Reds. Picked up and delivered towards Gaunt at 10.5 forward, and Gaunt takes the mark. He wastes no time. You can see a player loose on the right half-forward flank, and the kick has gone that way, and it's Trevor Fuzz. Trevor Fuzz now with the opportunity. He's a fair way out there and on a very difficult angle. Lining up the ball, they trail at the moment 1-3 to 4 goals 2. As Trevor Fuss lines it up, he has elected a drop punt. The ball's coming around. Will it come around first? No, it's hit the post. Well, the ball was coming around ever so.
They're still trailing 4-2 to 1-4.
Right, Des Pedler now delivers the ball in. Oh, went straight through the hands of the player that he intended the pass for. Finally, he gathers it in and handballs it back. Pedler backs up his play, chips in front of Hall, and Pedler after that, well, it wasn't actually a poor kick out, it was a good kick out because it found the Guernsey, but the player that was intended for dropped the mark, and he backed it up well, but his kick has been marked out there at half back, or rather half forward. The kick there by the Reds player has been intercepted by Peter Fitzgerald, who's playing a great game for the Ramblers. He's the captain coach, the left footer. He puts the ball in towards 10.5 forward, or actually it's in a wing really. It goes between that player's hands. An opportunity there coming through very strongly there was Barnes for the Reds. In towards 10.5 forward, and the mark taken there by Andy Lee. Lee gets a handball over, and the player had the ball and he dropped it, then was grabbed, then he flicked it out. An opportunity now for Gaunt it is. Gaunt now onto the right boot, in towards it's all alone, and it's going to be marked there by Fuzz. And Fuzz is proving nuisance value in that forward area. He's had quite a few kicks up to this stage. He and Gaunt are combining well across that half-forward line, and now Fuss with the opportunity. Probably a little bit great as before, but he probably would have learned a great deal from that first kick. See if he can make amends this time. And he's gone across the other side. Oh, my umpire, I thought we're going to pay the mark, but he didn't. It's finally tapped off the ground. Hall's in there. He picks it up. He has a cock. I think he's got it. He has. Oh, great goal by Hall, and he's a real tiger across that half-forward line. Right, umpire Eden in the centre of the ground. Darlett's back on the ball. Going into oppose him there was Borges for the Reds. The ball comes in towards the centre of the ground. Oh, Darlett ran into his teammate, and that was looked like Brent Parsons it was, and they've collided, and by gee, that would have been a crook old collision. As the ball's taken there by George Barnes, he looks for a Guernsey over on the outer side of the ground. Coming through very strongly, however, was Peter Treloar for the Ramblers. He kicks up the ball up and kicks it towards the half-forward line. Opportunity there if he can be picked up there by the Ramblers player. I couldn't pick up the player, but he's got a free kick. He finally comes out onto his right boot, in towards the centre of the ground, and the player that overran the ball there for Ramblers was looked like Ray Fitzgerald. Reds are in there trying to get the ball out. It's finally tapped out here towards Gaunt. Gaunt gets a clever handball out here to a teammate. He'll bring the ball along that outer side of the ground with a drop punt. It's all Reds there, 3-1, and up the back there was looked like Trevor Temple it was, and the ball hits the ground, and the ball trying to come out, or players trying to get the ball out. Finally it is delivered. A handball out there. It comes now towards the big fella in Blacker. Blacker was intercepted there by a Reds player. This gives an opportunity here for the Reds. And kick off the ground there by Ramblers. Finally, of players as it comes out here. Finally, it's picked up by the Reds in towards centre half forward. A mark to be claimed, and it has. It's been marked by Chris Minard. Minard now for the Ramblers at centre half back. Tall, rangy fellow. There's the screw punt. Nice looking kick off the boot as it comes towards centre wing. At the back, players went high. Darlett was in the front of the pack, was picked up there by Peter Fitzgerald. He tried to get a kick to the ball, but he couldn't. And what's the umpire decided on? A bounce. And centre wing grandstand side with the scores Ramblers 4-2 leading Cummins 2 goals 4.
And a player being taken off at the moment, and that's Chris Pedler for Ramblers. Don't know what's wrong with him at this stage, but he's been carried off.
Right, thanks Craig, and there was Peter Fitzgerald taking the ball from that bounce, and his left foot shoulder, he's got it on his left boot, hooks it back towards the centre. It could be a mark. No, coming over the back was the Reds player, thumped the ball away. In there's that player again, Peter Hall, and he's got the ball on the half back line. He's on for one bounce and then delivers a beautifully drop pass drop punt towards that outer side of the ground, and Andy Lee takes the mark for Reds. Waste no time in towards the centre. Peter Fitzgerald though, what a great game he's played so far. Intercepted that pass and then put it onto the boot, looking for a teammate further afield. field. It was Pedler. Pedler comes back onto his left boot. He puts it in towards the forward position. Coming through strongly though for the Reds was John Blacker, and Blacker's kick has gone out towards that outer side of the ground and been marked in turn by Bruce Blacker. I wonder if they're related. Probably are. No, they're not. Just Blacker's the same name. Right, there's the kick as it comes in towards the full forward area. Up they go. Two red players collide. Gives the opportunity now for the big fella in Cobb. Cobb will fire out a handball here towards a teammate, which was Peter Fitzgerald, and his pass has been marked by Ray Fitzgerald. And they are related, of course. They're brothers. Well, that's great. Nice to know that we've got some friendly relations out on the field. Fitzgerald's kick in towards it, will it swing around and hit the post? Well, both sides now have... was the player that delivered the ball on that occasion from the full-back position. Ball's been thrown in, ball's underneath the melee of players. Finally it comes out, and that looks like Hall, is it? And Hall, but he kicked it straight into a nestle of Ramblers, and they're having trouble picking it up. Well, if they lose the ball here, that's a disgraceful exhibition, because there was about 99 of them there and they couldn't take the ball, but fortunately for Ramblers, it's Becker that takes the ball. He wastes no time, puts the boot in towards it, up towards centre half forward to lose all players. Blackwell there, he's grabbed the ball, he's grabbed from behind. He's still got it though, flicks it over his head, gives the opportunity to Ramblers again. Thumped on further by Ramblers, and there's a nest of Ramblers as Joe Darlett's tried to get the handball out. He did the tap further afield. Players going in hard over the ball. Koff was the player there trying to pick it up, but he can't. It's intercepted beautifully by DeWitt. DeWitt now for the Reds in towards the centre of the ground, and Gaunt takes the mark. Gaunt looks for the Guernsey, finds it in number 11, which is George Barnes. Barnes takes the mark. He wastes no time. The pass in towards full forward, but it's intercepted by Pedler, and Pedler's kick now towards centre wing. Nobody home there for the Reds. It eludes nearly all the players. Thumped on further there by 39, which was Laurie. Laurie got one for his trouble. The umpire was looking at some Sheila in the crowd, I'm sure, because DeWitt now got the ball. He lines up the goal from some 40 metres out, but puts it straight across the face of goal and through for 1 point. Well, Ramblers having more of the play at the moment, but they're not making full use of their opportunities. Another chance goes begging. Heyman now delivering the ball into the grandstand side, this marked there by Grant Heyman. Heyman now, who followed the kick up from full back, but his kick's an absolute shocker, and Laurie takes the mark for Ramblers. Laurie now in towards that full forward area. It's a big drop punt at the back. Oh, going up well was Darlitz, and by G strong, because the player came out like a cannon and went up alongside of him, and that was Grant Heyman. And now Joe Darlitz, some 40 metres out, probably less than that, 35. Pretty hard to gauge the distance here, but easily within kicking distance. And it'd be interesting to see if he can register the Ramblers' 5th goal, but I think he's hooked it. He has it straight across the face of goal again, and they're ruining their attacking.
That should be around about 6 goals 2 instead of 4 goals 6.
Well, thank you, Craig. The ball's been thrown in there. Reds bring the ball out of defence and towards the centre of the ground. Going in there hard was Secker for Ramblers. He picked the ball up and kicks it towards the centre of the ground. It's intercepted there by...
4 goals 5, is it, Dennis? I thought it was 4 goals 6. I can't see it. There's somebody standing in the scoreboard.
Fair enough, Craig. As the ball comes into the centre, picked up by Reds, delivered towards the half-forward right flank, and a good mark taken there by Haynes. Haynes for the Reds has the ball now. He's got it at right half forward. As the siren goes to end the first quarter, with the score reading at quarter time, Ramblers 4 goals 5. They lead Cummins 2 goals 4. The margin just 13 points after a pretty, I suppose, untidy first quarter.
Very much so, Dennis. We did see some good passages of play, particularly from players mentioned during that call in the first quarter, that they should have capitalised a lot more than what they did. And at quarter time, Ramblers 4 goals 5, but it could have been a different story at quarter time had they been able to get those goals. That one that Joe Dullett's hooked should have been a goal. Unfortunately for him, his ankle must obviously be worrying him at this stage, but he's put in some very hard football in that first quarter and has been quite a good player for Ramblers. But at quarter time, 4-5, Ramblers leading the other side, Reds 2-4. And looking at the goal kickers for Ramblers, 1 each to Ian Dulitz, or Joe if you like, 1 to the captain coach Peter Fitzgerald, 1 goal each to Rod Atkinson and Kevin Pedler. And for the Reds, the 2 goals kicked there by David Hall.
Right, thank you, Craig. Well, players just having...
Here.
Right, the second quarter's about to get underway. with the Ramblers leading 4 goals 5. What breeze there is to the advantage of the red side.
I think Peter Fitzgerald, the captain coach of Ramblers, will be a bit disappointed with this quarter, with the position of Ramblers at the moment in the 4. They're looking for a bit of a percentage builder out of this game, and I think they'll have to really come back in this second quarter.
End of the second quarter.
Yes, well, if the rain does come, well, whichever side has opened up an advantage would be, well, obviously a big advantage to them. Been picked up immediately by the Reds and into attack through that man Hall again. He's played a great game. Coming through like a German tank was the peddler for the Ramblers. He was grabbed around the head, and the umpire actually saw it and has paid the free kick. The kick, not a good one off the boot, and but a good mark taken there for Treloar for the Ramblers. Treloar now at centre wing. There's the kick along that outer boundary. Up they go. Delatz was in front, but he couldn't take the ball. Finally comes to Reds in Barnes. Barnes' kick's gone straight up in the air. Thump further afield there by number 40, which is DeWitt for the Red side, and finally it comes towards centre half forward, and Haynes has taken the mark there for the Reds. Haynes at centre half forward, a long way out, but he should put the ball right in towards the square because that breeze is fairly strong. But he goes for a short pass and he's looking for that man again, Fuzz, and he's found him. And now perhaps Fuzz now, it's probably his 4th opportunity to register full points for the Reds. And let's have a look at this kick, a very important kick because Reds, with the aid of this breeze, if they can get a goal quickly after this bounce, could give them a lot of confidence. Drop punt's on its way, and I'll tell you what, he's split in the middle. A good goal to Fuzz, and he's proving very troublesome up there at full forward, Craig. As umpire Eden is about to bounce the ball. We've got Blacker in there opposed to the chappie from which is Hookham. The ball comes out, Reds into attack again, but a strong mark taken by Hunt for the Minhard. Minhard kick towards the centre wing. Players chase after the ball there, but it's gone out of bounds and right in front of the Southern Farmers building. And just 7 points the difference, worth 2 or 3 goals, possibly 4 at this stage. To throw in as the ball's picked up there by the big fella in Koff. Koff delivered it nicely towards the half-forward line. Darlitz is out there, but he overruns the ball. Finally taken away by the Reds in defence along that centre wing. And Koff has taken the mark, the big fella. There's the pass, a beautiful pass too. And he's found captain coach Peter Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald in turn passing the ball, but it goes over the head of his intended target, which was looked like Ray Fitzgerald, Bristle as he's known to his friends, and out of bounds. There's the throw-in. Oh, the Red player just came in and put his hand over the back of the Ramblers player, but the umpire called play on. Another Ramblers player grabbed. He says play on again. Finally it comes loose. The kick, the left footer looking for a teammate in front was trying to pick up that player DeWitt. He couldn't take the ball, and the umpire will bounce it between centre and centre half forward at the Cathedral end of the Cummins Oval. Umpire Eden about to put the ball onto the turf. Down it goes. Beautiful bounce coming in with Hookham, and his opponent there was Blacker. Oh, Blacker's lined up and looked like he was going to thump the ball right into the Cathedral there, but he didn't contact the ball, and was finally picked up in defence there for Reds by Barnes in towards the centre of the ground. Players try to pick up the ball. It's taken there by number 7, which is Oakley. Oakley almost kicked half the oval out of the turf then, because he kicked the ball on the ground at the same time. The ball's loose. Oh, here's an opportunity for Reds. It's taken beautifully there for the Reds by Haynes. Haynes towards full forward. Fuzz was there, but thumped away very cleverly in defence. Was the Ramblers have got to do to score is run that ball right up towards their goal line at this stage, because that breeze is springing up and getting stronger by the minute as the ball's been marked in defence by Pedler. There's the kick, Des Pedler it is, and there's the kick in towards the right half back flank, and it's taken by Laurie. Has taken the mark for Ramblers. There's a kick by Laurie in towards centre wing. Players set themselves in front, and the mark claimed and paid, in fact, to the big fella in Blacker. And Blacker now with the ball at centre wing, outer side of the ground, trying to put Ramblers into attack. He's gone for a short pass, and it's been marked there by Fitzgerald. Bristle Fitzgerald. Ray is his correct name. Oh, the kick's the worst kick you've ever seen in your life. He kicked it straight into centre half forward. At the back it should be marked by the red player, but the umpire says play on. Gathered in cleverly by DeWitt. DeWitt kicks the shock. It gone back the other way, if anything. That shows you the strength of the breeze. Either that or it was a shocking kick. Picked up by number 10. He gets the handball away for Reds, which is Lee. Finally, Lee on. It's a clever bit of balking, and finally handballs it out here towards his teammate in Bates. Bates back here towards Lee. Lee in towards the centre half forward position. Went over the head of Hall. Players coming through there. Pedlar's in there for the Ramblers side. He can't pick up the ball. Finally picked up by Oakley. Oakley almost threw the ball out. Ball's been grabbed by the Red. He's in turn grabbed by Ramblers, and the umpire will have a bounce at centre half forward, right half forward flank in fact, and with the Red side kicking with the aid of the breeze towards the netball end. Down goes the bounce, up they go, players rise from all sides as the ball comes loose. Picked up here by Trelaw for Ramblers. He puts the ball towards, tapped out cleverly by the red player in Gaunt. Finally it's picked up by Ramblers again. Bad passage of play at the moment because there's no systematic football at all, and the umpire actually rhymes with grass or something like that. There's the kick, and it's marked by 32, which just happens to be Brian Barnes. Barnes now for the Reds. We're watching interchange take place at the moment as Barnes has kicked. He tries to centre the ball, but it's all Ramblers, and Henry Pedlar takes the mark in the between centre half back and full back. Now Kevin Hookham has come off and Peter Wander has come onto the ground, and we just saw the runner and two runners almost collide there as the ball's kicked in towards the centre of the ground, and Oakley's in there for the Reds. It finally comes out loose. Nobody in particular can gain control of the ball. Showing a tremendous amount of pace was Trelaw. An opportunity now for George Barnes. Barnes onto the left boot in towards the goal square, and all the Ramblers in defence, and Temple takes the mark. There's the kick. He's looking for that outer side of the ground once again at the back. A good call and taken by George Barnes. Sorry? Parsons it was, yes. Parsons now wastes no time. He looks for the big fella in Cough. Finally it's taken by the Reds and out of bounds between centre, well actually in the centre half forward position on the half forward flank. There's the throw-in. Players set themselves. It comes over the back, almost kicked there by Rams, but he missed the ball completely, and there will be a ball up. Ball up on the right half forward flank, defending very grimly, and of course they realise once the Reds gain a break they can, with the sprees, put the ball right in towards their full forward area. Now there's Cough getting a push in the back. Finally comes out to Reds. He gets the handball out, picked up by Barnes. Barnes has got the ball. He went for a bounce. He's going to be grabbed. It must be holding the ball. It is holding the ball. He went about 2 steps too far on that occasion, and Atkinson has taken the ball at centre half back. Here's Atkins' kick in towards the centre. At the back, Delitz will take the mark. He has, because Blacker overran the ball, but the kick from Delitz is a shocker. Gives an opportunity if they're for Reds, but coming through here is Blacker. And Blacker over towards DeWitt. DeWitt now with the ball onto his left boot. Could be an important goal if he can get it up there. Being chased, and it's been marked. A mark by Butch Pedlar. Butch Pedlar has marked the ball. He is the full forward, number 35, and by gee, this will be an important goal if they can pull this one off, Craig.
Good play that time by the young player in DeWitt. He did see the goals open there, and it was also a good cover play by Pedlar to come over and mark the ball in case it bounced the wrong way, and we're going to see him now shoot for that goal, which will relieve the pressure off Ramblers for some time anyway. And there it is, he's kicked the goal, so that's his second goal, Kevin Pedlar, Butch, and that takes Ramblers now further ahead to 5 goals, 5.
13-point margin that we had at quarter time. Wanda and Darlitz in opposition as the ball is bounced. Over the top, Darlitz thumped Wanda out of the way and thumped the ball at the same time. Came down towards Peter Fitzgerald and he kicked it out there to Cough. Cough now onto the left boot. He's looking for a Guernsey further ahead and he's got the big... Oh, Black has dropped it. He should have buried that ball in his chest, but unfortunately he dropped it and the ball will be bounced at centre half forward.
Far too casual that time going up for the mark by Blacker. Dennis, he should have easily marked that, as you said, and a goal could have resulted from that.
Thank you, Craig. The bounce down, players flying over the ball. It comes out loose, gives any number of players the opportunity. Finally it comes in by Barnes. Oh, Barnes' kick was beautifully intercepted by Blacker, so you could almost say he made up for that bad effort to mark the ball earlier, and it comes in towards the centre of the ground, and it's all it was all Ramblers, and Henry Pedlar's kick was a shocker, but it's been marked very, very cleverly indeed by Parsons, and the umpire really should have pinged him for 15 metres on that occasion, but didn't seem interested. But the kick anyway was a shocker. Gathered in defence for the Reds. It's coming out here towards the boundary by Heyman, and Heyman's kick was a shocker. In fact, it's gone. Pedlar's kick is almost out of bounds. Now it's going to blow back in, and once again we see that player marking well, and that's Brent Parsons. Parsons delivers the ball in towards centre half forward. Delitz at the back. In front was his opponent in Wanda, but the ball has come loose. Finally kicked off the ground. An opportunity there for Heyman. Heyman trying to pick up the ball, and what's the umpire decided? He's said we're going to have a bounce, gentlemen, and it's in the left full forward pocket. Left full forward pocket with Ramblers 5-5, leading Cummins Red 3-4. Down goes the bounce. Darlitz put the arm out and pushed Wanda completely out of their way. The umpire says play on. There was courage galore by Henry Pedlar. Put his body in where I wouldn't have driven a Chev truck. And finally the ball's been picked up and delivered out wide. An opportunity coming through like a German tank there with number 39, which was Graham Laurie. Laurie in again after the ball. He dodges one way, picks it up and then tries to get a kick. Can't do much with it, however. Oh, there's a player grab. Must be he pinged it holding the ball. Well, he went to pick up the ball, but he didn't. Was pulled off the ball. The umpire said you were holding it. Well, incredible decisions here at the Cummins Oval at the moment. Picked up there by Hughes. Hughes in towards centre half forward, and the mark taken by Hall. Haven't seen much of Hall in this quarter, Craig.
No, it's funny you should say that. I was only going to say it myself, Dennis, that he did do very well in the first quarter, but it's been a little bit quiet in this quarter. But there he is. He's kicked now towards the centre of the ground. Yes, and trying to pick up the ball there for Ramblers was Mac and Ernie. And both Mac and Ernie have got the ball in the centre of the ground. There's the kick out towards centre wing. Big cough at the back, went up and grabbed the ball very cleverly from behind. Will play on. We'll look for a Guernsey further afield, and by gee, that was a beautiful pass. And the ball taken by Graysit, and he's kicked towards the right half forward. Darlitz got one in the back, and nothing going on back there, excuse me. The Ramblers player in Butch Pedlar went to go up, and the red player came in, impeded his path, which was John Blacker, and now Butch Pedlar has the opportunity to register his third goal. Once again, a very important one too, because as I said, as we said, that goals against this breeze are very, very valuable. There's the kick. I think he's pulled it. Has he got it? No, he's got it, I think. No, he's missed it. He did hook it across goal through for 1 point, Greg. Well, there was a shocking miss. Obviously his eyes bisected the post. There's the kick now by Reds as they clear the ball in towards the centre of the ground. We've got McInerney there showing tremendous pace. Tried to pick up the ball. In fact, he did pick it up and kicked it towards that outer side boundary. Oh, there McInerney with a clever pick up on the run. One hand, he gets the ball over. Oh, Koff pulled his hands out very quickly there. I think he thought he was going to get them kicked off. As the throw in on that Toyota side, as the ball comes in, players go up and then come down all in one big heap. Finally, it's intercepted by who was that player? Oakley for the Reds. It's all Ramblers though, as Henry Pedlar picks it up. Puts it out here towards McInerney. Ernie's got a paddock out there as he puts the ball onto the right boot, and he's looking for a Guernsey. Oh, I think he's got it. He's got to pay that. A great mark. One-hander running across the face of the pack. It was Atkinson who took that mark. He puts it onto the left boot up towards the big fella, Koff. Finally intercepted by the other big fella, Blacker. There's a clever handball over there towards Fitzgerald, was it? Up towards Pedlar. Butch Pedlar takes the mark in the goal square. And I don't think he'll miss this one, Craig. Well, one would hope not.
Well, naturally, but I don't think he'll miss it. Not after that last one. Probably learnt the error of his ways by probably trying to kick the ball a little too hard.
Just looking at the stance of the goal umpire. Unusual position. But it's there.
Yes, straight through the middle. And
with Pedlar having kicked, that's Butch Pedlar, kicked 3 goals so far.
Yes, a good effort from him as the ball's bounced back in the centre of the ground, and coming in very quickly there was Fitzgerald to get the kick. The ball in the centre of the ground at the moment, an opportunity there for Reds to take them. Darlitz coming through like a train. It's finally picked up, and the umpire said he was holding the ball. He didn't have much chance to get rid of that actually, because his arms were pinned on that occasion, and Gaunt will take the ball at centre wing for the Red side. He sees a Guernsey up further afield, and it's marked there by DeWitt. DeWitt has the ball at half forward right, and he looks like he's going to have a shot here a long way out, Craig. He must have a lot of confidence in his kicking.
Well, maybe that he's got confidence in his kicking or no confidence in his teammates kicking. But there it is, it's a point.
Well, it just goes to Showmaker. 1 point to...
Is the net ball in?
Yeah, strong possibility, of course, Craig. Always interrupts one. The fairer section as the kick goes in towards the half back line at this stage. An opportunity there for a Ramblers player in which Brent Parsons it looked like, but he was grabbed. Finally it comes further afield. Dulitz has got the ball. Cleverly tapped it on, but unfortunately for him, Big Blacker wasn't anticipating what he was going to do, and he was some 50 yards away from the ball. Finally picked up in the centre by Barnes. Barnes in towards the centre of the ground. It comes off the boot of a player there in Parsons. Picked up by the Reds there in... we'll pick that player up in a moment. He gets a handball out. This will give the Ramblers the opportunity. No, the ball comes loose. Picked up by Gaunt, kicking up towards the half-forward line, and the ball is loose at the moment. Ramblers trying to pick it up. The player got a push in the back, comes out loose. This will give the opportunity now to Atkinson. Fat field in Blacker, and that's the way the football has gone, right half-forward flank. He puts it onto the right boot, looking further afield for Butch Pedler. And Pedler miles out in front of his opponent. He got anybody to kick it to. They both stood and looked at each other. They thought they were going to take the ball. Both players thought the other player was going to take it. Finally it's kicked in towards goal and through for 1 point. From Reds it's been delivered nicely in towards the... and the mark taken there by Andy Lee. Lee now delivers the ball up towards the half-forward line, showing tremendous pace there for the Ramblers side is Temple. Temple overran the ball though, gives the Red side the opportunity if they can pick it up. Can't do so at the moment. It's going to be a bounce on the right half-forward flank. Right half-forward flank. Ramblers 6-8, Reds 3 goals 4. And we've played some 29 minutes. 20 minutes into the second quarter. Down goes the bounce. Big Blacker was in there for Rams. The ball still in play. Ever been cleverly brought along the boundary by that player in Treloar it was, who brought the ball cleverly in play, but then Blacker, after all that work by Treloar, and cleverly there by DeWitt. Ball's been trying to pick up by the Ramblers player in Treloar. He can't do so, and the umpire will move it and bounce. Right half forward flank at the moment. Time running out for the Reds in this quarter. Have not made full use of the opportunities that they have had. And of course this breeze worth 2 or 3 goals. Down goes the bounce. Up they go. Getting the tap away there for the Reds was, well, nobody in particular, but the ball came out loose. It's an opportunity here for the Ramblers to pick up the ball. Was the big fella in there, Blacker, that got the handball out. The umpire in the meantime has blown the whistle. And he's going to bounce the ball. The fellow that took the knock before was Borges, number 9. Down goes the bounce. He's endeavouring to go in there again. Neither player got the hit out. Came down towards Ray Fitzgerald it was for Ramblers. An opportunity now for Andy Lee to get the ball out. Finally it picked up cleverly there by Barnes. Barnes handballed over toward Blacker. Blacker now, there's McInerney with a clever handball over to Koff. Koff onto the left boot, looking to centre half forward, straight through the hands of the intended target in Parsons. Finally it gathered in cleverly by the player there for Andy Edwards it was for the Reds, and his kick has been marked in the centre of the ground by Corey DeWitt. DeWitt now further afield looking for Gaunt. Gaunt's got the ball, tries to dodge past the player, still got hold of the ball, finally gets a handball out, comes here loose. Coming in there like a gazelle was a Ramblers player, and the kick away by George Barnes has fallen short, marked by Pedler. There's Happy Pedler. There's the kick out wide and is marked there by Laurie. Laurie has the mark in the right back pocket for the Ramblers side. The kick being held up by the breeze, and it looks like a good mark there taken by the Red player, and it was in fact Trevor Box. Box now kicking towards the netball end as the kick goes high. Getting very high there for the Ramblers was Des Pedler, but the ball went through his hands. It's on the ground at the moment. Players going in over the ball. I'll bet that was Hall. And there was a Red player that just came bursting through the pack. I couldn't see the number, but the characteristics were of that man Hall that played such a great game in the first quarter. Down goes the bounce. Up they go. Where's Borges getting the tap away. Hall's in there. He's dangerous around the goals. He puts it onto the right boot. It's all Ramblers though. Straight through the hands of the Ramblers player in Trevor Temple. And what's happened for the Red side? Des Pedler to bring the ball in for the Ramblers, and that's a better kick as he delivers the ball at the outer side of the ground in front. The big fella claims the mark, Blacker, but the umpire says play on. Koff has got the opportunity. He breaks away from the pack onto the right boot, up towards the big fella, and Dulitz dived over the top of his opponent, and the ball coming through very cleverly though for the Red side is Blacker. Blacker onto the boot up towards the centre half forward, goes through the hands of his teammate in Haynes. Ball's on the ground, players in over the top of the ball as they're trying to get it out, and the umpire will bounce the ball between centre and centre half forward at the netball end of the Cummins Oval. Must have played at least 25 minutes into this quarter. Time definitely running out as the ball is bounced. Players tapped away there by Blacker. Gives the opportunity for Blacker in turn for the red side to pick up the ball. He delivers it out there towards his teammate in Jack Wilson it is. And Wilson has been given a free kick in that. Blacker gave it back to Wilson. So we were right the first time as Wilson... Oh, it's the worst kick you have ever seen in your life. It went underneath the player standing on the mark. It's an incredible kick as the ball comes out toward Blacker. Blacker in turn handballs it over further to a teammate who gets the kick away. Was Fitzgerald, and he unfortunately has found Blacker. Blacker now delivering the ball in towards the centre of the ground for the Reds. An opportunity now for the Ramblers if they can intercept. The ball's on the ground, players been over the top of the ball, and the umpire will bounce it almost in the centre of the ground. Expecting the siren to go very shortly in this the second quarter to end the first half here at the Cummins ground, with Ramblers 6-7 leading the Reds at 3-6. Down goes the bounce. Borges in against Blacker. The ball comes loose. Picked up cleverly there for Reds by, looked like Andy Lee it was, or was it DeWitt? One of the two. The ball comes up towards 10.5 forward. In front is Blacker. At the back is Darlitz. Finally tapped along cleverly there by Barnes it was. The kick high in the air. Players will set themselves, and it's a strong mark taken by Koff. Koff now onto the boot, looking for a Guernsey, and he's found his teammate in Atkins. Atkins a long way from goal, looks for Peter Fitzgerald. Oh, Fitzgerald tried to get the boot over because he could stand on the ground. Darlitz tries to tap it on, intercepted by Blacker. Blacker with a handball, and they will relieve the pressure, the Reds, as they bring the ball in towards the centre of the ground. At the back, should be taken. It is taken there by Barnes. Barnes onto the boot towards 10.5 forward. At the back, at the well, we don't know where the ball was at the moment. It's picked up by Minhard. He kicks the ball in towards the centre of the ground. The big fella Blacker's got it. Puts it onto the boot towards right half forward. I don't know who he's looking for there. He must have been looking for Brent Parsons, I think, but Parsons was a long way away from the ball.
He couldn't get through to the goal, and young Joe looking a bit slow at the moment also.
Yes, a couple of opportunities gone begging, picked up beautifully by the Ramblers. Looked like Ray Fitzgerald. Ramblers a little bit pleased at their effort in the third quarter, holding the Reds down to just 1 goal with the breeze, or is it 2 goals? 26 minutes into the second quarter. I think it was 1 goal with the breeze at this stage. There's the ball taken beautifully by Andy Edwards for the Reds. He gets the handball over further afield to Box. Box kicks the ball in towards the centre of the ground. Oh, there's a push in the back, and the most deliberate push in the back has gone the way of the big fella in Blacker, and he'll take the free kick centre wing outer side of the ground. Gets a handball rather than the kick to McInerney. McInerney tries to burst through players, but then cleverly shepherds off, but finally it's intercepted there by George Barnes for the Reds. He kicks it back in towards Oakley. Oakley will get the handball further afield. He's looking there for Lee. Lee gets the ball over towards DeWitt. DeWitt streaming in towards the centre. He's running like a hare, but he'll have to go for holding the ball. The umpire says play on as it's picked up by Hughes. Hughes in towards the centre of the ground, but nobody home there for the Reds, and picked up by Koff. Koff onto the left boot. Looking for a Guernsey, looking for big Delitz. Delitz was in the centre of the pack then as it finally gathered in by Parsons. Parsons streaming towards half forward as he looks for his teammate there in Butch Pedler, but intercepting nicely for the Reds there was Grant Heyman. Heyman handball back towards Blacker. Blacker could go for holding the ball, but the umpire says he's been hung on to, and the kick will go to Blacker in defence. A relieving kick. And the ball will come right out towards this grandstand side boundary to mark there by Lee. Lee now onto the boot in towards the centre of the ground. He's looking for a teammate there in Barnes. Barnes couldn't take the ball. As he grabbed the ball, the siren goes to end the first half here at the Cummins ground, with Ramblers leading 6-7 to Reds 3-6. And in that particular quarter, if we can just get the stats, which Craig will give us shortly, Craig...
Well, it looks as though they kicked 2 goals into the breeze, I think, Dennis, from quarter time. 2 goals. So that's a pretty good effort on their part, because we did mention that the netball end to 3-6. But some good passage of play in that second quarter.
Right, well, here at the Cummins Oval, it's half-time at the moment, with Ramblers 6-7 leading the Reds 3-6. That margin, by my calculations, is 19 points. Neil, you mentioned, I think, just after the first quarter that Captain Coach Peter Fitzgerald wouldn't have been very happy with the Ramblers side with the aid of that breeze in the first quarter, but I think he might be a little bit more pleased with their effort in the second quarter.
That's right, Dennis. As I said before, the position the club is looking for a bit of percentage to help them. Depends on the other teams winning, but if they need their percentage to keep them in the 4, that was a fairly dogged quarter by the Ramblers. 2 goals against the wind, and 2 Reds won with it. I think he'd be quite happy with that effort so far, but as Craig said before, the game is fairly scrambly at times. There's not much open play, but I'm sure that Peter will get his charges worked up, and hopefully the third quarter is usually a good quarter with Ramblers. The use of this breeze, as the afternoon wears on, if any weather comes in, this breeze could switch around to straight across the goals, so they'll need to come out after the half-time break and really work this ball forward down to Butch, who can lead, take good marks and kick a lot of goals for this quarter to help boost their percentage.
Neil, I don't know what the case is here in Cummins or in this standard of football, this league, but in Adelaide, sometimes the third quarter is the telling quarter in a game. If you play well in the case in Adelaide, of course, is that with teams winning the third quarter, playing well in the third quarter, they usually go on and win the football match. Would the same be applied in this league or in this standard of football?
Yes, Dennis, I think that's quite correct. The third quarter is very important, especially in a situation like today. I think when you've got that wind, it's essential to get a big break by three-quarter times, that if you're coming home against the wind, that you can bottle the game up a bit more. If you've got to come from level or behind, it's very hard to get the bit of football system working against the wind. So I think it's essential that Ramblers have a commanding break at three-quarter time so they can bottle up that last quarter and come through, run it through into attack.
Right, thanks very much to Neil, and now it's over to Craig McGann for goal scorers and best players to half-time.
First of all, for Ramblers, we have 3 goals for Butch, Kevin Pedler, and 1 goal each to Ian Darlitz, that's Joe of course, 1 to the captain coach Peter Fitzgerald, and 1 to Rod Atkinson. And I might like to mention also that Rod, or Acco, took a good mark in that second quarter there. So congratulations to him on that. And the goal scorers for Reds, 2 goals to David Hall, as we did mention, put in a really good first quarter, but the second quarter a little bit not quite as dominant, and 1 goal to Trevor Fuss. So actually I'd endorse Neil's remarks that into that third quarter, the first 10 minutes, perhaps if Ramblers can put on a few goals, and they'll look pretty good in that last quarter.
All right, well that's it at the moment. Ramblers leading 6 goals 8. They lead Reds 3 goals 5. Now there's a kick by Hughes. It's a big long screw punt in towards centre half forward position. Players come to the ball, picked up by the big fella Blacker. Blacker couldn't take the ball as it down on the ground. Players going hard over the ball. Gaunt's in there. He can't pick it up. Finally comes out loose. Opportunity now for Ramblers if they can pick up the ball. Going in there was Parsons. He's on the ground, and the umpire will move in and bounce the ball. Umpire to bounce the ball in that right half forward flank for the Ramblers. Going into attack, and this is the start of the second quarter. Up they go. In there was Borges. He got the tap away, or actually the player that came in from behind got the tap away. A chance there as it's almost picked up by George Barnes with the ball in a pack of players, and the umpire will bounce it in. Now the kick by Peter Fitzgerald. He's looking for the big fella in Darlitz, but chipping in front to take the mark is Koff, who ironically kicked the ball. Very important goal to open up the second half here at the Cummins ground. The kick's on its way. Has he registered full points? He has. And a quick goal to the Ramblers side, and they move along to 7-8. They lead Reds 3-6. Back in the centre of the ground. We've got Borges in there for the Reds and Darlitz for the Ramblers. The ball comes to ground. Darlitz goes in after the ball, but finally was picked up there for the Reds by Barnes. George Barnes it was. Here's a chance for DeWitt. DeWitt was in there. Corey DeWitt that was for the Reds, but the ball's in over the pack, and on the bottom of it is Gaunt for the Reds, and the umpire will bounce the ball just a little bit to the left-hand side of the centre circle. Down goes the bounce. It's once again Darlitz against Borges. The tap comes down, picked up by Koff. Koff with the ball now. He comes away on the right. Played a pretty fair game, the big fella. He's looking out here for Peter Fitzgerald. Goes past that player. An opportunity there for the Reds there is going in after the ball is Andy Edwards. Edwards trying to control the ball. He can't pick it up at the moment. Players low and over the top of the ball. It comes out loose. Koff goes in there, and finally it's picked up now by Peter Fitzgerald. He's passed towards the full forward area, and it's been marked there by Johnny DeWitt. DeWitt wastes no time. Up towards Butch Pedler. Pedler with a handball in towards the full forward area, picked up by the big fella Blacker, turns around and fires it through for another major, and that takes the Ramblers now along to 8 goals. Umpire Eden about to bounce the ball. Borges in there for the Reds, also is Hall. He's on the ball, and Box is on the ball as the bounce goes down. Both players contest the knock as it comes to ground. Trying to pick it up there was a big fella in Darlitz. Finally came out wide, picked up by Pedler now. Pedler onto the left boot towards the half-forward line. Oh, the big fella Blacker lacked the yard, but fortunately for him, the ball bounced cleverly for him. He got it now, handballs it back. Looking there for 28, which is Hughes it was for the Ramblers in towards the full forward area. Opportunity there for the big fella in Butch Pedler, and he was going to take the mark, and I think the umpire anticipated that. The ball went straight through his hand, but because he'd blown...
Minutes in this, the third quarter. 7 minutes, is it? Well, it's near enough. And if they get this one, as I said, they are really capitalising on this, the third quarter. And there it is. It's a goal. So that now brings them to 9 goals, 8. And they're leading for umpire Eden.
Yes, he certainly knows how to put the ball down. As the ball's been put towards 10.5 forward now. Red's into the tack for the first time, but taken there for the Ramblers there by the captain coach Peter Fitzgerald. His kick into the centre of the ground has been
marked by Hughes.
Hughes it was. Hughes comes loose now towards that half-forward line, showing a great deal of pace now, however, was Fitzgerald. He got pushed in the back, and trying to pick up the ball for the Reds now is David Barnes. Barnes there going in hard as Hall. Hall gets a handball back to Barnes. Barnes puts his head down where I wouldn't drive a truck. Players going hard. The ball finally picked up by Borges. Borges now comes away with the ball onto the right boot. Intercepting might be Pedler. McInerney overruns the ball. Tap further afield there. Players go in. McInerney back turns cleverly out of the pack. The ball's on the ground. He's been hung onto. The umpire hasn't said anything as yet. It finally comes out trying to pick that player up. It looked like Andy Lee it was. The ball's loose again. Going in hard there was Oakley. Coming through very strongly there and trying to pick up the ball was Jack Wilson. The ball's up further afield there, taken there for the Reds there by the player. I can't pick him up at the moment. It could be Brian Barnes. In fact, it was Brian Barnes up towards the full forward area. A Ramblers player was hung onto. The umpire's called play on. Going in out for the ball now. Wilson. Ball comes to ground. An opportunity here further afield here for him picked up cleverly by Haynes it was. Haynes onto the left boot, intercepted nicely. Oh, cleverly done by the Ramblers player. Onto the boot, it goes in towards the centre. Oh, it goes straight past George Barnes in towards the centre. An opportunity now for picked up there by Bache. Bache on further afield up towards the half-forward line, and a good mark taken there by Andy Lee. Andy Leake Lee. As the kick goes up towards the half-forward line, and chipping in is Corrie DeWitt to take the mark for the Reds. And DeWitt now some, I suppose, 45 metres out, but kicking into the teeth of this very strong breeze here at the Cummins ground. Alexa drop punt. The wind will hold it up in the goal square. If in fact it... getting up like a startled gazelle there from the back of the pack was George Barnes, and the ball has been knocked through for 1 point. Reds and chipping in to take the mark is Andy Lee. Chris Minard now, what's he done? He gave it over towards Cough onto the boot. Out wide here, looking now for Hughes. Hughes has got the ball, streaks away from his opponent onto the right boot, along that outer side of the ground. It'll bounce awkwardly. Oh, it did bounce awkwardly, beautifully trapped there by Peter Wonder. Wonder then came across and was picked up there by Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald it was up towards the half-forward line, was taken there by the big fella again, Blacker. Blacker over here towards, running in towards the goal. DeWitt's kick is coming back in towards the goal where the big pack flies it over. It's gone over the top of the pack and through for a sausage roll with sauce macker. What did you think of that one?
Yeah, that was a good goal by DeWitt, and I had noticed him in the first quarter particularly.
In fact, 43 points to difference now as umpire Eden bounces the ball down. Players go high for the ball. Black was in there against Box, it may have been. Finally came out loose, picked up for the Reds and driven up towards... Well, didn't actually go all that far at all because it went straight up in the air. Finally comes to Gaunt. Gaunt was almost taken by Oakley. Finally comes to Pedler. Pedler's boot on towards the ball. He's looking for Koff, who's run loose on that half-forward line. He'll break in towards the full-forward position with a long drop punt going right up there at the back, almost taken by Butch Pedler, intercepted by the big fella for Ramblers in Atkinson, and he popped it under the left boot, and another sausage roll macker.
Yeah, good play there by Atkinson. He could read the ball very well, and he got behind the red player there and was able to get the ball and then kick it into a goal.
White line, that's the edge of the square, and the nearest player, of course, is the full forward and the full back, as far as the Reds are concerned, and they're right up in the square.
It's two behind the centre line for Reds, so it could be both loose.
Yes, thank you, Neil. Now, apparently one of the players has infringed the square, and the kick to be taken by Blacker. The big fella Blacker for Ramblers drives the ball here looking for Kuss, and tell you what, he's played a fair game, this chappie, today. He's been just about on everything, and it's moved very, very nicely to the ball. His kicking has been immaculate, and that's no exception. Looked for a Guernsey further afield and found it in Fitzgerald. He wastes no time on the right boot, and there's Darlitz chipping in at 10.5 forward to take yet another mark. Oh, Ramblers doing what they like at this stage, Craig.
Bristol Fitzgerald called well for the ball then and got in the right position and marked it and then kicked over to Joe, and now Joe has to capitalise, and I think he can from this position and get a goal and putting them even further ahead. Ramblers doing it very well at the moment.
He's got a powerful kick, Darlitz, as the kick goes on its way, and he split the middle once again, and Ramblers looking very, very good at the moment. The ball's been brought back in the centre. to umpire Eden. He will bounce towards a cutting their defence to ribbons at the moment. Down goes the bounce. Young Gaunt went in and took the ball. He's a rover and he took the ball out of the centre of the ground. Waste no time. Up towards the centre half forward position, and this is where the Reds are coming unstuck because they've got nobody in there at centre half back to rather centre half forward to do the ball. There's it taken by Pedler. Pedler in towards Coulson. What a quarter he's played. A clever, I'm got it mixed up there. It's Cough I was trying to say. He put the ball in towards Darlich. Darlich further afield looking for Butch Pedler, but went over his head, taken by Peter Fitzgerald, and Fitzgerald now the opportunity on the almost into the right full forward pocket to register another score for the Ramblers. There's the drop punt. I tell you what, I think it may have come round. It has. What a great goal. The 15-minute mark of the third quarter, and Ramblers race.
Half-time break, and for some reason the Reds just haven't been able to get back into it after that half-time break.
The Ramblers side, and we've only played 15 minutes into this quarter. There's the bounce in the centre. Players contest the ball. Big Blacker was there, coming through very strongly, however, for the Reds, and putting the ball up there was George Barnes. Intercepted though cleverly for the Ramblers by Temple. Temple's kick was almost marked there by the big fella in Cough. Cough got it over a teammate. He kicked it further afield, coming through strongly there, trying to pick up the ball, running all over the place like a hare at the moment. Picked up by the big fella there in Barnes, David Barnes. He follows up the play. He's been about to be converged on, but then waited, then put the ball onto the right boot up towards centre half forward. It's all Ramblers there though, and good mark taken in defence there by Henry Petler. This is where the Reds are falling down when they go into attack. Because of the fact that they're playing two loose men in defence, they've got nobody in attack whatsoever. Thank you, Chaz. Chaz just delivering here looks like raspberry cordial to me, as the ball's in the centre of the ground. Big Joe Darlett's got the tap on further afield. Intercepted there by the Red player it was. Here comes the chance now for Corrie DeWitt to take the mark, and he does so backward of the centre of the circle. There's the kick by Corrie DeWitt. A nice drop punt into this breeze. Up they go at the back. The ball's come loose to Gaunt. Gaunt for the Reds has gone for one bounce, being chased by McInerney, but he got the boot of the ball very quickly. It's gone through all players, picked up by Kuss, has a shot at the goal, but he's missed it. 1 point only, and that was a golden opportunity gone begging.
Well, they've had the opportunities getting the ball down towards their forward lines, and when they eventually do get it down there, they just can't get that goal. So the Ramblers just doing it on the bit at the moment.
Blue box there, I don't know what that is. It's probably the timekeeper's box, I suppose, as the ball's thrown in. It is the timekeeper's box. Well, that wasn't a bad guess. As the ball's on the ground, the umpire's going to have a bounce. Some 20 metres out, maybe 25 metres out from the Reds' goal. They trail by 60 points at this stage as motorbike goes past behind us. The ball tapped further back. It comes here and players going hard for the ball. Pedler had an opportunity to get the handball out, but he couldn't do anything with it. The ball's on the ground. Going in there hard was Oakley, and there's a few elbows and things going in there, and the ball will be bounced at centre half forward.
Yeah, I think the umpire may have to get a free out of this one soon if he has to keep bouncing the ball.
Oh, getting up very high over the top there was Peter Wander. Finally picked up by that man Hall. He saw a Guernsey, but the ball didn't go that way. Finally picked up there by, I don't know who that player was, Minard it was. Coming through beautifully was Cough. He's got beautiful ball control, this chappie. Looked further afield for Parsons. Parsons grabbed. The umpire says play on, I think, yes, and finally picked up cleverly for the Reds by Andy Edwards. Edwards in towards the centre of the ground, and Hall will come in and take a very strong mark. Hall now, waste no time, gets a handball over here towards his teammate in Bates. Bates puts the ball out towards half forward, and the mark taken there by Andy Lee. Andy Lee now, waste no time, onto the boot, but intercepted very nicely there by Hughes. Hughes intercepting that pass, and he taken the ball on the half-back flank. And there's not much. Big Joe, a long way out from goal. I reckon he'd be some 65 metres out from goal. Fair way out, 65 to 70 metres. He's going to have a shot for goal. It'll be a tremendous kick if he can put this. We know he's got a kick like a wounded bull, but if he allows for the wind, he might just get this one through. That's a magnificent kick. It's only going to go in. In fact, he's put it through, I think. Well, what an incredible goal maker.
Well, obviously he didn't doubt it right from the outset. He knew the kick.
At the moment, umpire Eden brings the ball back, and we've played how many minutes? We've played 20 minutes into the third quarter, and undoubtedly has been Ramblers. Down it goes. Players will set themselves. Over it goes. Comes loose, trying to pick it up. Coming through very cleverly there was Fitzgerald. That's Bristol Fitzgerald. He kicks the ball up there, looking for a teammate. He had his brother there, and Peter trying to pick up the ball. It's loose on the ground. Big Darlett had the ball between his legs. Yes, well that's obvious as it comes out here. It's picked up there by George Barnes. Barnes looked for a Guernsey up further afield, and he's found a teammate in Andy Lee. Andy Lee now, as he kicks the ball up towards centre half forward. It could be a mark. Oh, straight through the hands of Wander, I think it was. And Wander paid dearly for that as it was kicked up by the Ramblers. There's a mark taken further afield. Up they go. Oh, Henry Pedler came in to try and mark the ball. He had his eyes on the ball though on that occasion. Players were going in hard over the ball. Intercepted nicely for the Reds by Ian Haynes. Comes up towards the half-forward line. Coming through very strongly there was Corrie DeWitt. A handball in towards centre-half forward. Thumped on cleverly there by Atkins. In towards the centre-half back position. Players going in hard over the ball. Reds have got the opportunities. DeWitt picks it up. He doesn't know what to do. He finally gets it over to Gaunt. Gaunt with a left footer looking for a teammate, and a beautiful pass on the left boot by Gaunt has found his teammate in Ian Haynes. Good football that, Craig.
Very good football. They looked like they were going to lose it for a while, but they persevered, and certainly their number 40 there in the way of Corrie DeWitt played well, and also Gaunt, who has played well for the Reds all day.
Yes, obviously those two talking on that occasion with DeWitt under a lot of pressure, got the handball out, and Gaunt, as we've seen, there's a shocking kick by the Reds player on that occasion. In fact, they didn't even make the distance. That shows you just how strong the breeze is. Chance here for Box onto the left boot, looking for Gaunt on this occasion. Gaunt, he dropped it. Gaunt dropped, he's got it and must go for holding the ball. Thank you, umpire. That would just to be about nearly BOG, I'd say, Craig. Cough.
Cough has played really well all day, particularly in this quarter and also the second quarter.
Right, his kick went down there towards Darlitz. Darlitz's long kick has gone over the back of the pack. Chance here for Butch Pedler. He gets the handball out here, looking for a teammate there in Treloar, and Treloar's kick is a shocker, 1 point. In fact, the goal umpire just about kicked it back into play. The Reds player in towards he kicked it straight. Pedler saw it, sees again. He tries to find his captain coach in Peter Fitzgerald. Intercepted nicely for the Reds up towards the centre of the ground. Opportunity there for Wander. Wander over towards DeWitt. DeWitt coming out onto his left boot. He kicked it up here towards his teammate there in it looked like Bates. Bates couldn't pick up the ball. DeWitt goes in again. He picks up the ball, dodges around players, playing well, this boy. Comes out into the centre of the ground now with a long drop punt over the centre. At the back, it should be marked by the Red player. Now it's gone through his hand. That was Andy Lee. Opportunity there for McInerney to pick up the ball. He can't do anything with it. Finally intercepting nicely there for the Reds was Wilson, and Wilson kick gone out of bounds towards Gaunt. This deserved better if he can line up the goals. He shoots and straight through the middle. And that was very clever football there. Started with David Barnes. He drew the player to him, dodged round the player, handballed over to Gaunt, and Gaunt made no mistake, and that's Red's first goal for the quarter. But at this stage it could be a little bit too late, Craig.
Well,
60 points at this stage. Down goes the bounce. Darlitz is in there this time. Up he goes and gets the tap. It's tapped it straight down the throat of his opponent in George Barnes. Barnes put it up towards McInerney. He overran the ball. Taken away, however, for the Ramblers by Minard. Minard kick out towards the half-forward line that's gone out of bounds. Trying to pick it up there, pushing the back to the Reds, and then kick to be taken by... It looks like George Barnes. Thank you, Neil. There's Barnes' kick, and he finds his teammate in Blacker. Blacker chipped in to take the mark. Probably on the half-back flank. It's the kick off the boot in towards the centre of the ground. Almost a mark there to Ramblers. And there's the ball. Comes out here towards the player in... For the Reds, he delivers the ball up towards the half-forward line. Oh, there's a hip and shoulder from behind by the Ramblers player. The ball's on the ground, trying to get it out there with the Reds player. Finally, it comes out loose. An opportunity now to picked up by Oakley, was it? No, it was Fitzgerald, and further comes out here towards 39, which is... Bates now up towards the half-forward line, giving Lee the opportunity. Lee up towards the right full forward pocket and goes... Cough, the mark. He handballs over. DeWitt now up towards Peter Fitzgerald, and he takes the mark. He'll come onto that left boot of his. He'll look for Butch Pedler up at full forward, and that's the way the football goes, and Pedler takes the mark. They combined pretty well on that forward line, Fitzgerald and Butch Pedler, Craig. Talking
very well, Dennis, and as you called it, that's the way it happened, that when they do call properly and talk to one another, then they kick to one another, and usually a goal results from that, and we'll just see what happens now. Going towards the netball end. And yes, he didn't make a liar off me.
Goes as the ball goes up in the air, tapped away by Darlitz. It's grabbed there by Andy Lee. He was grabbed in turn by Darlitz. Came to Gaunt for the Reds. Gaunt onto the right boot up towards centre half forward, and Minard takes the mark at centre half back for the Ramblers. Now Minhard onto the right boot, up towards the centre wing position. Big Doe Darlitz got up, couldn't take the mark, came out loose and handballed further on. Gave Parsons the opportunity, but the ball bounced awkwardly for him. Coming in very hard there was Parsons, and what's happened? The umpire has said it's out of bounds, and there'll be a throw in centre wing on the grandstand side. There's a throw in at the back. It got the big fella Blacker trying to pick the ball up was Parson. Going in there was Coffey, got a push in the back. Came out, somebody got kicked in the head, taken by Fitzgerald. Ball up towards the half-forward line. Peter Fitzgerald tried to take the ball, but coming through very strongly for the Reds was John Blacker, and Blacker's kick up towards half-forward. There goes Minhard. Minhard picks up the ball, and the ball's gone out of bounds in front of the broadcasting point. Right in front of the broadcasting point here as the ball's thrown in at the back. Big Blacker got up, thumped it cleverly down to Edler, couldn't take the ball, grabbed by Gaunt, and umpire Eden says, "I'll have it, thank you boys," and he's going to bounce it still in the front of the broadcasting point. 15-8 to 4-8, a change being made. Coming off is Laurie, and going on is 33, and that's Martin Fitzgerald. Another Fitzgerald. Pedlers and Fitzgerald are just about to rule this joint as the ball comes towards centre half forward. An opportunity here is it's picked up cleverly by George Barnes. He got it over towards Corrie to Witt. Look for a teammate further afield, and he's found him. Clever football there on that occasion, and Brian Barnes has taken the mark. On a very difficult angle though, and with that breeze blowing across the ground, he'd have to kick that ball, I suppose, aim it towards the right.
So he's anticipating that. We'll just see whether he does do it. Oh, it's a shocking kick. Umpire nearly marked it actually.
Well, that was a bad kick. And Gaunt chasing Parson to mark the ball. He puts the ball down here towards his teammate, goes over his head. Chance there for the big fella in Fitzgerald to pick the mark. Finally taken there for Ramblers by Treloar it was. He gave it over further towards his teammate who put it down towards the big fella in Dalitz. Joe Dalitz puts the ball on the boot up towards the half-forward line. Oh, players go over the back of the pack. Here's a golden opportunity now for the captain coach in Peter Fitzgerald. He's got the ball. He's gone for one bound. He's going to virtually run into an open goal onto the boot, and through it goes for a goal. Craig McGann.
Very fast there. Actually, I thought he might have been picked up for running with the ball or holding the...
Over there with the siren. Down goes the bounce, up they go in the centre of the ground. Players fly for the ball, comes to the ground, thumped further afield, picked up by a Reds player, comes out a chance for Hall. Out comes McInerney, used his body well, then got a handball out wide in towards the centre of the field, taken by Pedler it was, over towards the other Pedler. His kick onto the right boot, in towards centre wing, but it's all Reds there. Oh, straight through the hands of that player in Bates. And what's the umpire done? He's played the free kick anyway. Bates now in towards the centre of the ground. He's looking there for his teammate in Brian Barnes. He goes for a bound, dodges past players, comes back into the centre of the ground. He's done this once before today and got away with it, and does it twice and gets away with it. Out there looking for Gaunt. Gaunt, the ball bounces awkwardly for all players, gives the opportunity now towards Brian Barnes. Barnes is kicking towards the goal square. Over the back, the big player went high there, and Haynes, he couldn't take the ball. Comes to the ground, coming away with it though very cleverly now is Treloar, and Treloar moving that ball along that outer side ground boundary. And what's happening over the Ramblers side, and it was undoubtedly that the wind that had a lot to do with it, and they used it very well. Best players in goal, well, just the goal scorers mainly at this stage, Craig.
Right, Dennis, well, we did mention at the start of the second, or the third quarter rather, that they would have to capitalise Ramblers if they wanted to really sew this game up. They did that. They kicked 10 goals in that quarter for Ramblers, 5 goals to Butch Pedler, 3 goals each to Joe Dalitz and Peter Fitzgerald, 2 goals to Rod Atkinson, and 1 goal each to Ron Koff, and also to Bruce Blacker. And for the Reds, 2 goals to David Hall, and 1 goal each to Darryl Gaunt, Trevor Foz. So that's the situation at the moment. Three-quarter time, ready to start again, and it's Ramblers 16-8, leading Reds 4-8.
Right, the ball about to be bounced back in the centre of the ground. Down it goes. Big Darlett's in there opposed to, was it Box or Borges? One of the two, and the ball, Borges it was, and the umpire decided to bounce it again into a pack of players. Young I don't know what he's all that young, but Gaunt anyway came out of the bottom of the pack once again. Down the other, Borges got high, tapped it down, picked up by Peter Fitzgerald, up towards centre half forward, goes over the heads of all players, an opportunity for the Reds to come away in defence, tap further afield, young Gaunt goes past him again, Gaunt going in after the ball again, the ball's on the ground, Darlett is there, comes out here towards Atkins with a handball, intercepted, beautifully taken there by Koff onto the left boot, looking for that man up forward in Pedler. I think he was playing in defence earlier, but he's back there at taken by Fitzgerald now onto the right boot. Pedler going after the ball, he's got it, and Des Happy Pedler has marked the ball. I think he was playing at full back initially. Was that right, Neil?
That's right. He's fairly versatile. That's the word I was trying to think of, Dennis. Either end of the ground, he plays well.
Yes, well, thank you, Neil. And of course, as you pretty well know, that Neil is the brother of cousin of Des, and that's probably why you know so much about him. Well, anyway, the ball's been bounced right in the goal square. Over the guts for all these brothers as the bounce goes down, tapped further afield by Atkins, on of a boot by the big fella in Cough, and Cough has popped it through for yet another sausage roll, and Craig looks like they're going to continue on even against the breeze.
Dennis Buff Cough did,
because he was instrumental in that third quarter in sparking off a lot of attacks by the Ramblers side. Well, anyway, the ball's been bounced, and coming through like a German tank in the middle of the ground was Pedlar, another Pedlar. This is Kevin Pedlar as he put the ball up towards the full forward area. The other Pedlar's there, that's Happy Des Pedlar, and through comes that man again, Cobb, sees a Guernsey and puts it straight down the throat of the big fella Blacker. Well, how incredible, Macca.
well, very unselfish play, because he could have really kicked the goal from there, but he saw Blacker standing there, and he called for the ball and he kicked it to him, and now Blacker's going to try for that goal and put them even further ahead, and he shouldn't miss it from this angle, and he hasn't either. It's gone right through the middle, so that's Blacker's second goal, and it's the Ramblers' 18th goal, so they're 18-8 now, leading Reds 4-8.
Yes, well, and Neil, they're certainly piling on the percentage at the moment.
Yes.
Get the game underway once again. Sorry? Well, we've just been informed by Craig McGann that there's 4 boundary umpires as the ball goes down. Big Joe Darlett came in and thumped the ball, but picked up by Hall. Hall for the Reds, a long through punt in. Oh, there's got to be a free kick. No, the umpire says play on. Incredible stuff here as it comes out here. The chance here now going in after the ball was Parsons. He couldn't pick up the ball. Chance here now for the Reds if it can be picked up by Haynes. Haynes will handball it out here to Lee. Lee now onto the left. Oh, he tried to get the left boot to it, but was unfortunately impeded as he kicked the ball up towards the centre of the ground. Here's a run on. Only the Speedy will take the ball as it's picked up by Box. Box onto the right boot, and he's put it straight down the throat. Oh, he should have, of Fitzgerald. Grabbed by Lee. He was grabbed in turn by Fitzgerald. The ball's on the ground. Comes to Lee. Threw the ball away. Going in there is Borges. The ball's on the ground. The umpire says, give it to me, fellas, and I'll bounce it. Centre wing, Western. No, make that grandstand side. Where is the east around here, Neil? Yeah, I was right the first time. Western side of the ground as down goes the bounce. Up they go. Box, no, not Box. Borges opposed to Darlett. Coming through was Fitzgerald. He couldn't take the ball. Finally picked up by Box this time, and he'll get it right sometime or other. The ball goes down towards half forward. A chance here for Parsons. He overruns the ball. Intercepting for them, however, was Minard. Minard picked up the ball. Parsons is in there again. Players going in hard over the ball as the ball's on the ground. Parsons in there like a tiger. The ball's on the ground again. Gets a clever handball out to Peter Fitzgerald. He puts it over here towards Cough, but it's over his head. Hasn't gone out of bounds. Still in play. Still in play. The goal umpire, the boundary umpire, anticipating the ball would go out. Wasn't out of play, and no doubt we had that on film. The ball was still in play. There's the throw in. Darlett's at the back opposed to Borges. The ball comes down. A chance here now. It looks like Fitzgerald. Oh, cleverly taps it back into play. The handball comes out here to Coffey. Overruns the ball. Going in hard there is another Cummins player out towards Peter Fitzgerald. Gets it on further. Oh, clever play. The Ramblers side as it comes over towards Fitzgerald. Bristol Fitzgerald in towards the full forward area. Over the back of the pack. Gives the chance to Pedler. He tries to kick the ball off the ground. Coming through like a tank there was the player in Heyman for the Reds. But what's happened? The umpire has said holding the ball, I think. Well, he did. Incredible decision, but you get used to those, especially in Adelaide. Hookham's got the ball. There's the kick from Hookham. High in the air play. Oh, getting up. Great mark, Blacker. Over the top. Good mark. Plays on. I think he's looking for Cough, the opposition. No, he was looking for Lee. Cough almost intercepted. Will go in and get the ball again. He's been grabbed from all sides. Taps it cleverly out. Clever player this Cough as Lee goes in again. Trying hard there. It was finally picked up by Corrie DeWitt. DeWitt long kicking towards the goal. Where will it bounce through? No, takes an off break and goes through for 1 point. An off break that Embury would have been proud of.
Yeah.
There's the so we'll have a look at it on the replay tonight, by the way, and McInerney showing tremendous speed from the throw-in. He puts a long handball over here towards a teammate in Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald further afield, marked there by Darlett. Darlett gets further on towards Butch Pedler. Pedler looking for the big fella in Blacker, and Bruce Blacker's taken the mark. Following Craig McGann's biro. Blacker now, the big fella. He'd gone for a short pass, and who's he found? He's found that man Pedler. Of course, Pedler started off at full back, and now Des Happy Pedler taking the ball in the left full forward pocket. Umpire Eden bringing him around. Shouldn't make any difference to this very versatile character. He lines up the goal. He's allowed for the wind, and I think he's popped it. He has. A clever goal there by Pedler, and you'll notice that he put the ball up, allowed the wind to bring it back into the centre. That was a good goal, Craig.
What does he be there for the 8 o'clock mass?
Well, that's wonderful news as far as Jazz is concerned. The ball's back at the centre of the ground. Down it goes, and once again Ramblers stream into a tackle, give Parsons the opportunity. He sees a Guernsey further afield, and that man cough again. And by G, he's played a game and a half. He's gone for one bounce. He's going to go for a short pass. It's a daisy cutter of a pass, and he's found Des Happy Pedler.
Was a good pass, and he's been doing this all day. He's not a selfish player, and he could really go through and try and get a goal himself, but he looks for the player, and the players are talking to him, and they're capitalising on that. So Happy goes for the goal, and there it is. It's another 6 points on the board for Ramblers, and that brings up Des Happy Pedler's second goal. So I really believe at this stage, Dennis, in the last quarter, that the Reds can't get out of this one.
Well, you said before
whether he was kneeling down to actually give thanks for the goal that he did kick, but he looks fairly happy, and I think the whole side should be happy at this stage. They're playing much better than Reds.
And finally the ball centre half back, Minham coming through very strongly. Will give McInerney the opportunity. Got a lot of pace, this chappie McInerney. Coming in to scoop the ball off the ground was Fitzgerald. Oh, there's clever play by Parsons. He tried to get it over to his teammate, and that teammate there was Pedler. Pedler it finally comes out here loose towards Heyman. Heyman for the Reds up towards the full forward area, and Hall keeps in to take the mark. Hall will play on. Sees the Guernsey further afield, but he's put it straight down the throat of another Pedler. Henry Pedler this time. Henry Pedler, there's the kick in towards the centre half back position. Gives the opportunity now for Barnes, George Barnes, a left footer in towards the goal square. Players will rise for the occasion. The ball comes off the hands of the pack. It's in the square. Coming through with Saka, and Saka's kicked on out of bounds on the full.
He was unlucky not to get that goal before. He's played very
well. In other words, that's his first goal, Craig. You're trying back into the centre by umpire Eden. Well, and there's that little whistle going off again, and this time the kick to be taken by Blacker for the Reds, because apparently a Ramblers player did infringe the square. Right, Blacker's kick. It's off the side of the boot somewhat as it goes up towards half forward. Oh, getting into the air there, the big fella there for Reds. I couldn't pick him up. It looked like Barnes. Barnes then straightened up, dodged about 3 or 4 players, straightened up, put it in towards the full forward area. Henry Pedler had an opportunity to mark the ball, but the ball beat him out over the line. The centre of the ground, centre wing actually, breaking away is Fitzgerald, and there's that man Cough again, and he gets a handball out to a teammate in Butch Pedler up towards the big fella in Blacker, and Blacker takes the mark on the half forward flank. Blacker wastes no time, handball back towards Pedler. Pedler now onto the right boot, and coming in towards here is another Pedler. And finally the ball goes out of bounds in the right full. No, it's not out of bounds. In fact, it's play on, and the ball comes back in. Oh, there's a free kick to the big fella in Blacker. Cough it is. The little fella there for the Reds in Hall came straight into his back, and Cough to take the free kick just backward of centre half forward.
Almost like David trying to take on Goliath, but Goliath came on the best that time. Hall's been very quiet actually in this quarter.
Yeah, well, perhaps he's lost his slingshot, Magger. The ball back in the centre of the ground there as the ball comes in towards the centre of the ground. McInerney the opportunity now, picks it up for the Ramblers, puts it up towards the half-forward line. Pedler was there, he couldn't take the mark. Coming through very strongly over is that man Hall we just mentioned. He gets a handball further afield. Hall follows up his play, and Pedler's in there too, so is Darlitz, and the umpire says you pushed Hall in the back. Darlitz. Joe says I didn't. The umpire says you did. And that's all that matters, because Hall is going to take the free kick. 20 goals, 8 plays, 5 goals, 9 Hall's kicking towards the centre of the ground. Blacker takes the mark. That's Blacker for the Reds. Oh, have a look at the other Blacker. There's Brian Barnes now. What will he do? He's going to sink the slipper into a big screw punt. He didn't get onto it quite properly as it goes up towards centre half forward. Out it comes here, and here's Peter Fitzgerald. Been a good player all day. He looks for a Guernsey. Big Blacker tried to take the mark. The other Blacker's there. I wish these Blackers would separate. We don't know who's who. Finally, it's Red's Blacker who takes the ball. A little left foot pass, looking for a teammate. Coming through is that man Cough again. Oh, goes cleverly past the opponent onto the right boot, and he's found a teammate further afield, or he tried to. And that was the Ramblers player there in DeWitt. Well, DeWitt should have taken that mark because Cough did all the work, dot pass player, and the pass was an absolute beauty, Craig.
Well, I think if people watch that on the replay, that DeWitt mouthed off his utter disgust with not getting that mark, and rightly so.
Right, well, we've got Bates down there, pump further afield there for the Reds by Jack Wilson. 2 players trying to contest there. Gaunt comes out to Corrie DeWitt. DeWitt now onto the right boot up towards the half-forward line. Oh, Reds players everywhere there. Finally, he should get a handball out to lead this player, but he doesn't. I'm speaking about Haynes at the moment. Haynes up towards full forward. Pedler got in the air, couldn't take the mark. Comes loose, picked up by Ramblers. They'll clear in towards the half-back line. Taken there for Ramblers. by Peter Treloar, up towards that man that missed the mark before, and he's missed it again. Taken by Blacker for the Reds. Reds in towards centre half forward. Treloar takes the mark. Sorry, Fitzgerald it was. We'll get it right in a minute. It was Hughes. Luck one, number 21, and that's DeWitt. Well, on 2 occasions he lived up to his name, but on that occasion he plucked a one-hander. There's the kick right up towards Big Joe Darlett. He's plucked another one-hander. Well, 2 in a row, and it's incredible plucking as far as one-handers are concerned. There's the kick up towards Blacker. Blacker takes the mark. He sees the Guernsey. That's the way the football goes, and Parsons takes the mark at centre half forward. Well, they're doing it with ridiculous ease at the moment, Craig.
Well, particularly the plucking that you've been mentioning, and they're doing it really well. And let's hope now that, for Ramblers' sake anyway, that Brent Parsons, from this distance, almost straight out in front of goals, can kick it and add that 6 points to the already... No, he hasn't. As a matter of fact, it's still in play, Dennis.
Well, thank you, Craig. The ball's still in play. About 3 or 4 Reds trying to pick up the ball. They can't pick it up at the moment. The umpire's going to have to bounce it, surely, I think. Thank you, umpire. And he's going to bounce it about... Down goes the bounce. Up they go. Oh, there's Borges trying to get the tap away. Came out loose. Picked up there by Barnes. Barnes over here towards Oakley. Oakley onto the right boot, in towards the centre of the ground. And bounces past every player and gives the opportunity there for Brian Barnes. Barnes took too long to get rid of the ball, and it's Peter Fitzgerald who picks up the ball. Look at the pass, but he's unfortunately been intercepted by, looks like Borges. Borges with sheer courage burst through the pack, kicks it along this grandstand boundary. Coming through strongly was Minhart. He couldn't take the ball. Opportunity again there for that player in Barnes. Barnes couldn't take it. Corrie DeWitt's in there. Players all over the ball. Comes out here towards Minhart once again. He slips over, gets the handball further afield. Taken there by Hughes. Hughes' handball's intercepted by Gaunt. Gaunt with a clever handball. It's gone further afield there. Taken by Haynes. And Haynes, what's he done with the ball? The umpire has blown his whistle, but that doesn't mean anything naturally when he blows his whistle. You've got to wait and see what's going to happen with the football. And it's a free kick to Haynes. Free kick to Haynes on the right half forward flank. 20 goals, 8 plays, 5 goals, 9. Haynes goes for a short pass, and oh, gee whiz, Gaunt got hammered from behind. I think it was Gaunt. We're back to an 88-point margin, Craig.
And we notice that the ladies playing netball have finished their games.
It has been the mark. He'll play on. He's got a lot of pace, this boy McInerney, onto the right boot, but he didn't kick it all that well. It went straight up in the air. Darlett's got a push, and he still plucked the ball. That was a clever mark by Darlett, because just as he was about to grab the ball, he got shoved and still gained control, Craig.
Almost the Chemax mark of the day, Dennis.
Yes, it was a good mark, although there was one earlier that would rate with it. The chappie from the Reds, I can't remember, he took a great mark, went over the top of his immediate opponent. Oakley was in there. McInerney's followed on the play. The ball comes down here. Oh, there's a chance now for Reds. It's Corrie DeWitt. He sees a Guernsey further afield. Will it go over his head? It has. The big fella Blacker says, I don't believe it, and he's going to try and go and pick up the ball. Finally, it's picked up for the Ramblers there by... Noodles. Noodles can't pick it up. Now it comes out to Peter Fitzgerald. A lot of time. There's the Guernsey, but he missed it again. That's that man again, DeWitt. Well, DeWitt's had a lot of trouble controlling the football today, as it's finally picked up by Andy Edwards. He can't do anything with it. Diving in over the ball, however, was Hughes, and the ball will be bounced on the left half forward flank. 20 goals, 8 plays, 5 goals, 10, 88 points the difference. Umpire Eden about to bounce the ball down on the left. Through was Fitzgerald. He was grabbed from both sides, and finally the ball goes out of bounds on that position that we just mentioned a while ago. Well, the game fizzing out now, Craig.
Crowd not leaving though, Dennis, which is good to see. Normally at this time of the day the crowd does start to move, but up here at Cummins they're all staying here. And you mentioned DeWitt before missing a couple of marks. It has been unfortunate. He did, as I mentioned earlier, put in about 1.5 good quarters. Thank you, Craig. Now it comes out to Lee. Lee with a handball towards Gaunt. Gaunt is at half forward at the moment, coming through very strongly with Temple. Temple finally comes to McInerney. McInerney has put the ball wide out there, and there's nobody home for anybody in particular, but Treloar's the first there. Get it, and then kicks it further afield, looking for a teammate there in Fitzgerald, but Joe Darlett comes in to take the knock. As far as Ramblers go, and Captain Coach Peter Fitzgerald has come off. He's kicked 3 goals today, and Graham Laurie, who stopped that ball with his face earlier on, has gone back on. And I would say that if that was the case, Magga, his face would be a little bit bigger than when he was here before. A little bit flatter, actually. Well, good answer, Magga. 10 out of 10. The ball's on the outer side of the ground, and once again another throw-in, and we'll get the official time in a moment.
22 minutes into the last quarter, and unfortunately I think as far as the Reds are concerned it's good night Dick. There's the kick taken by Daleks. It's all red though, and it looks like Trevor Box takes the mark. Waste no time in towards the centre of the ground, looking for a teammate there, and I'll pick him up in a minute when I see his number. It's Blacker onto the right boot in towards centre half forward. It's a good pass, and he's found his teammate there in Ian Haynes. Ian Haynes now centre half forward. Long way out, but we saw Darlett kick one. He decided to go for a short pass, and I think he's put it straight down Pedlar's throat. Henry Pedlar. Actually, if you said Pedlar and Fitzgerald, you couldn't be far wrong all day, because it's sure as heck to be one of them there somewhere. Now, there's an opportunity here for Barnes, George Barnes. He got the opportunity on the left boot. He went for a daisy cutter and kicked it into the backside of his opponent there. Kicked out and the goal's been registered. If I can look at the indication, vital quarter, and that's where they won the football match. Down goes the bound. Borges in opposition to Darlett. The ball beats players over the top. Parsons in there trying to pick it up. Not Parsons, it was Atkinson that was trying to pick it up. Finally came out to Hall. Hall onto the right boot, coming out. Minard was one of the clever pickups of the day. They picked up the ball on the half volley. That was very well done. Onto the right boot. Over there looking for a Guernsey, and the big fella in Koff. We haven't seen Koff for the last 3 minutes. Probably having a breather. He comes, there's that clever bulk again. Onto the right boot, looking for a Guernsey. Getting up in front of him, however, was Fuzz. And Fuzz... Oh, sorry, Edwards it was, and Edwards has taken the mark. Speaking of Fuzz, we haven't seen him for a while, Craig.
No, he's been quiet this quarter, Dennis.
Well, probably because he's at full forward and the ball hasn't been down there. Now it's taken away by George Barnes. Barnes has kicked the last goal. He kicks it further afield there, looking for his teammate in Jack Wilson. Jack Wilson goes for a funny looking handball. Comes back here toward George Barnes. George Barnes has grabbed. The umpire calls play on. The ball's at the bottom of the pack. Players trying to go in after the ball. Players still there. Minard taps it out. Opportunity now for Henry Pedlar. Pedlar's got all the time in the world, looking for McInerney out there on the outer side of the ground, but the ball beats him out of bounds, and Minhard. What did I say?
Minhan, but I think the boy's name's Minhard, according to his parents who've just rung.
Oh, fair enough. Hand or hard, one letter can make a lot of difference. There's the kick. Oh, clever work there by Lee. Lee over to Hall. Hall in towards the goal square. What's he done? 1 point only.
Yeah, very unfortunate kick there by Hall, and we mentioned him in the first half. He was playing really well for the Reds, and just hasn't been in it in this second half, Dennis, I don't think.
No, well, actually, when you buy Minhard, got it right that time as it comes out here towards his teammate in Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald further afield. Oh, Darlett! An incredible mark, McGann.
Joe's taken a couple of good marks today, and that's no exception, and he was able to hold on to that one, and he's got the resultant free for it, so surely he's not going to try and kick a goal from here.
Well, that was an incredible mark. When you see it on the screen, well, you did see it on the screen, it was an incredible mark. He had no way in the world that he could possibly mark that ball, but he stuck a big right hairy paw up, the ball stuck, and then controlled it. A great mark. We were told that he was a great ball handler, but that's unbelievable stuff. Right, the ball's in the right full forward pocket at the moment. Koff's in there, and amongst other players. Gaunt goes for a short pass, and he's found Jack Wilson. He handballs to people that aren't there, and then kicks the ball high in the air, and finally is taken by Parsons at centre half forward. Parsons now something like 27 minutes into the last quarter, and he goes for a kick. He's looking for the big fella in Blacker. Oh, Blacker stood there, didn't even worry about getting off the ground, probably didn't think he had to. Finally it comes out here towards Pedlar. Pedlar's kick's been intercepted by Blacker. Blacker looking for his teammate, the ball. The wind takes the ball. Through comes Corrie DeWitt. DeWitt onto the boot. Further afield it goes. Minhard is there. He's in front of his immediate opponent, but goes without the ball, which wasn't very well done at all. Finally picked up there for the Reds by Haynes, and Haynes' kick has been marked by Secker. Secker onto the right boot, looking along this grandstand side. In front is Minhard. Minhard a clever handball back, but Secker wasn't quite there. Going up was Hall. Minhard again in there after the ball. He's a good player, this lad, as he kicked the ball up the ground in towards centre half back position. Henry Pedlar's first to the ball, dodges around and gets a clever handball further afield. Can't pick up the play, but he got his kick. It was Trelaw it was, onto the left boot of Atkinson. It goes in towards the centre. Players racing after the ball, and almost a clever mark taken by Laurie. Laurie's been got the handball further afield, was grabbed by Box. He in turn was grabbed by Darlett, which is no surprise at all. And the ball's on the right outer side of the ground. The ball's on the ground. Darlett goes in after it, and the boundary umpire says out. Darlett tries to go and out. Oh, Shepherd beautifully allows a teammate to pick up the football. Kicks it up towards half forward. Box has got it. He kicks it onto the right boot in towards the centre of the ground. There's a number of players there trying to pick up at Atkinson, was it? Pedlar it was, and I should have said Pedlar. I was going to say Pedlar, and finally picked up by Gaunt. Gaunt got a push in the back, says the umpire. He wastes no time. A handball to Box. Box onto the right boot. A big screw punt going in towards centre half forward, but he's put it straight down the throat of Minhan. Minhan now with a handball to Parsons. Parsons got a paddock. Sorry, we'll get it right. Minhard to Parsons. Parsons up to Wood, and there's that man that's finally taken the mark, DeWitt. Onto the left boot. He finds the Guernsey there in Hughes. Hughes has got plenty of time. Will he get a hand? No, he dodges past cleverly. Opens up the goals looking for Koff. Koff will mark it. No, he doesn't. Well, what will he do? He's liable to do anything, this man, Koff. He kicked a goal, Craig.
He's kicked it right off the ground there. It looked like the other side was going to get the ball, but, you know, he's been...
Yes, have to back you up all the way there, Craig, but that man, finally the ball comes down to the Reds.
30-minute mark.
And it's Heyman that took the ball, played 30 minutes into this last quarter, and the ball's finally been cleared. Oh, through comes Box by G. He came through like a tank then, put the ball and put it straight down the throat of Secker. Secker broke away onto the right boot, putting it back towards the centre of the ground. Players waiting for the ball, tapped by Fitzgerald it was. Ball's on the ground, Fitzgerald going in after it again. Also there is Pedlar, I think, but Fitzgerald's the one that comes out with the ball onto the right boot, looking for a Guernsey further afield. The ball's in the centre of the ground, taken by Atkinson. Oh no, Atkins actually. Gaunt will intercept, he does so. Takes the ball onto the right boot, the pass looking for a Guernsey. Minhard in front, or was it Parsons? Parsons it was. Finally, players trying to pick up the ball. Handball further afield there by Barnes. The opportunity now for Parsons to pick up the ball. He's still got it. Got the kick away, but straight into the legs of his teammate there not his teammate, his opposition, in fact, Barnes. And there goes the siren. The siren has gone to end the game here at the Cummins Oval. The final scores reading Ramblers 21 goals 9, defeating Reds 6 goals 12. Final score 21 goals 9, Reds 6 goals 12. Craig McGee.
Right, we'll just go into the goal scorers first of all, and we'll 6-12. 5 goals to Butch Pedlar, 3 goals each to Buff Koff, Joe Dulitz, Peter Fitzgerald, and 2 goals each to Happy Pedlar, Acko Atkinson, and HB Blacker, and 1 goal each to Woody DeWitt, Johnny DeWitt, and he was the only one actually that got 1 goal. So that's the goal tally for Ramblers, and for Reds 2 goals to David Hall and 1 goal each to George. Goals 12.
Right, quick calculation, Macca, that's 93 points on your screen in Peter Fitzgerald. Peter, you're very happy with the win today?
Well, it was after, like in the second half, we improved a lot and settled down to a little bit better style of football, I think, and first half was very scrambly and looked atrocious from where I was anyway.
Well, I don't want to be rude, but it looked atrocious from where we were, but we did mention at half-time that if you could come out and use the win to its full advantage, which if you could do that, you would end up winning the football match, and of course, so many times it's been proved in the past, third quarter often wins a football match.
That's right, it does, and I think Ramblers have done it over the years, and fortunately today was one of those days when we got it going again. I think Ron Koff was probably our main instigator, and out through this half-forward flank, and he really used the ball to advantage there, and other players blended in and made it quite a good solid win, and I'm very pleased.
Yeah, well, it was a real percentage booster today, Peter. You were 4th on the premiership table prior to today's game. Percentage is always handy, especially coming around approaching the finals. 1 or 2% could either give you a double chance or probably miss out on the 4. I don't know what...
We're going for the 4 at the moment, Dennis, so today's win will make a big difference.
Yeah, all right, Peter. Well, thanks very much, and all the best for the rest of the season.
See you tomorrow, Dennis.
Yeah, righto. Thank you. Before we leave the Cummins ground, Craig, you've got the goal scorers and best players there.
We've given the goal scorers actually, Dennis, but let's mention who we consider to be best on ground today, and I think between the two of us we've worked out that Ron Buff Koff got our award for best on ground today, so congratulations to Buff, and he kicked 3 goals, but also a great team man, and certainly lifted the side during that third quarter.
Yes, he set up many opportunities, and I think you were the one that pointed out his unselfish play during the day, and we can only say that Ron Buff Koff, well done, and all the best for the rest of the season.
Certainly, and I really...
Right, Craig, we've got the best on ground, of course. That was Ron Buff Koff with his 3 goals and a great game. He played 100 minutes of football. And what did we come up with second and third best on the ground?
Just like to say before we go on to that, Dennis, that another reason for giving him best on ground is that he's an unselfish player. We saw that on a number of occasions this afternoon, and certainly a really good team man, Buff Koff, so best on ground. Second best we've given for Ramblers to Peter Fitzgerald, the captain coach. He kicked 3 goals. You're shaking there, are you, Dennis, or what? Cold? Lovely Cummins weather we've got here. Nice sunny afternoon and a cloudless afternoon as well. And the third best on ground we've given to Ian Darlitz, otherwise known as Joe. So congratulations, Joe. You put in a really sterling effort there. Dennis, you might like to look at the red side there for the best players as far as you saw them.
Well, it wasn't easy picking out their best players, Craig, because they were soundly defeated on the day. I thought that in the first half particularly, David Hall was very instrumental. Trevor Fuss at full forward started off like a stick of dynamite, but unfortunately ran out of gunpowder towards the end of the game. Darryl Gaunt was a good player for most of the day. Corey DeWitt, I thought he played a very serviceable game. Darren Bates late in the game, and I suppose the Barnes boys. How many Barnes boys are there? Well, there's a couple there, but Jeff Borges tried hard in ruck. He giving away inches in height, but he kept jumping all day. I think that's the best way we could probably sum up the game, Craig.
I think so, and I'd agree with you there. But Darryl Gaunt and, as far as I'm concerned, Corey DeWitt, two of the best players for the Reds. So just repeating that final score here this afternoon at Cummins Park. And Ramblers 21-9 defeated the Reds 6-12. So from Cummins Park, this is Craig McGann and Dennis Brown signing off. Yeah.
Ranging from